Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. So excited to see each of you again. I see some familiar faces, um, and also some new faces as well. Welcome to our first webinar of the year, our first Air Quality Forum of the year. We're definitely so excited for this session. And today, we are joined by a very fantastic speaker as well. But before we start the presentation, all of us wanted to make sure that we are committed to a respectful learning environment. Therefore, I would like you to see the code of conduct that is going to be shared in the chat box just right now. So I would really hope that all of us can continue and keep up with the code of conduct that we've already shared. Great. Now that we are all happy green, quick introductions about our speaker. Our speaker for today is Marta O'Brien. She is a chartered environmental scientist and currently working as a research scientist at the University of Reading. With her extensive experience from accredited organization, Marta brings her analytical expertise into educational settings, empowering young people to explore and understand air quality and air pollution. So at present, Marta supports the delivery of the Clean Air Living Matters Exploring Reading project, funded by the Department for Environmental, Food and Rural Affairs, working in collaborations with Reading Borough Council, Stantec, and Design Nature. So these initiatives actually focus on delivering educational sessions on air quality to school and local community, with the goal of raising awareness, encouraging behavioral change, and ultimately improving our air quality. So I think without further ado, I will definitely want to welcome Marta to start her presentation. Marta, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Let me just make sure that we connect properly. We have practiced this. Okay. And do you have the right view?
Yes.
Yes, great. Okay. So thank you for this lovely introduction. So my name is Marta O'Brien. I work at the University of Reading as a research scientist, and together with a few other organizations, we are delivering this project called Clean Air Living Matters, and we are exploring Reading. So I will go to the next slide and go through our organizations again. So the whole project is, the funding comes from DEFRA, which is Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, and the money has been awarded to Reading Borough Council, and together as a collaboration between Reading University, Stantec and Design Nature, we are delivering this project. This is our second year that we are working with schools and communities in Reading Council area. So we are aiming to increase knowledge, explore impact and find solutions, and engage with not just children, but also parents and communities. And our main aim is to highlight the particulate matter and wood burning in Reading Council area. So I will take you, so we are in UK, and obviously the air quality is different across the globe. So when we look our air quality stripes for London area, we obviously need to bring back 1952, the event of Great Smog, which I think was the time when we changed and started looking at air quality differently. And obviously this event caused at least 20,000 deaths. And also following this event, we started implementing air quality legislation, which obviously has been implemented across many countries following this event. So all those climate stripes, they are accessible for different parts of the world. So if you haven't seen climate stripes for your area, I highly recommend to explore this. I will talk a little bit about Reading, because obviously we are all coming from different parts of the world. So Reading is not far from London, as you can see on this map, and it's a large town, around 230,000, located in Thames Valley, and it's between London and Bristol by one of the busy motorways. And we have 40 primary schools, 9 secondary schools, and there are different types of schools. And 14% of Reading schools are private schools. And why this is important, we actually found that outside the time when the private schools are already on the holidays, we actually experience lower air pollution in our town. So it is quite important to think about the way students travel to the private schools. And this is something that we would like to hopefully explore in the future. And we look at over 40,000 students in our large town of Reading. So what is the aim of our project? So we use low-cost sensors to drive behavioral change and deliver educational sessions to primary, secondary school children. We also, through my research, I also engage with university students and use local sensors as well. And we hope, following obviously these activities, that we will be able to improve air quality in Reading. So the CAM project targets 33 schools. We are now past 20 schools already. We still have quite a long period of time remaining of the project, so we're hoping to reach this number. We found it quite difficult to engage with some of the schools. Maybe this is something some of you may be interested exploring, how we engaging with the schools. And the activities that we provide are assemblies. We do workshops, mapping, and monitoring. We delivered 32 activities and engaged with with nearly 4,500 students in our council. So through the collaboration, we are lucky enough to have specialists in different fields. So our team Stantec is supporting the technical part. So we do use AirGradient monitors as well as other equipment. And when the equipment arrives, we obviously make sure everything is working correctly. We speak with the providers, making sure that we know what it's doing, what are the specifications. We check the performance of the equipment, and we also prepare instructions, and which are in simple language. So when the equipment gets sent to our schools, the teachers can follow the instructions step by step, making sure they are working correctly. We also provide support following the installation. So there is usually issues with Wi-Fi, because obviously with the safety of Wi-Fi, sometimes the connection is not as straightforward as we would hope. Okay, so when the school engages with us, we send them one of each outdoor and indoor low-cost sensor to monitor the air quality. We also use AtmoTube, the handheld devices, to undertake the workshops. So I take you through all the types of activities that we do with schools. So when the school receives the monitors, some of the schools give us access to the data. So here you have an example of CO2 measurements recorded in a primary school. As you can see, the CO2 levels are very unhealthy. And surprisingly, the levels wouldn't easily drop even with the windows open, which obviously indicates that the room needs maybe more ventilation to bring those levels down. So you can see the green area on this graph, and this only happened during the break. So all the students left the classroom, windows and doors were open, and only then the levels in the classroom dropped down to green. So this really gives us indication how unhealthy some of those classrooms can get, and actually how helpful the indoor sensors are to actually monitor those levels and take actions when they are unhealthy, as they are on this graph. Another type of activity that we undertake with schools are the workshops, and they are actually mainly used with the older children. So we invite the Key Stage 3 students. For those that are not familiar with UK education, these are the children age 11 to 14. So we invite them to join us. This workshop taking place at the University of Reading. We had nearly 60 students from 4 different schools, and we take them through a series of different activities. So we look with them at the different ways to improve air quality and how this can be achieved by schools. We ask them to think outside the box and just explore what could be the source of air pollution and what they can do to make sure they breathe clean air every day at school. And we ask them to use the post-it notes, so they create this cloud of ideas and different concepts, what they think would be potential solution to make air quality better around the school. And we stick those post-it notes together and just put the word clouds for them, so they can use them at school and just explore the work that we do together further. So this work doesn't just stop with the workshop, they can take it back with them and continue the conversation. And what we found out from those workshops, so there was a list of questions that we asked the students, and following the workshop, they all were able to identify ways of improve air quality. So we asked them what they could do to make the air quality better, and they understand that living car at home or car sharing or walking or cycling and not using fires. They do take out quite a lot from those workshops, and we do ask them to share the knowledge with the families. So hopefully this message doesn't just stop with the children. Hopefully it goes further and gets shared with the family and friends. So following the workshops, we measured that there was a 14% increase in air pollution awareness, and the knowledge also dramatically increased following the workshop, and nearly 100%, 96 found using the handheld air quality sensors, helping them understand the air quality. And some of the feedback we had from the students, they are really interested in exploring air quality. They would like to have more of this type of workshops at school, and they would like to share the knowledge with the family and friends. So that was the indoor part of the workshop, and we take the students outside. So under the picture on the right was actually June last year. We had really hot weather, and the students came into the University of Reading fields with sheets to fill out and monitors and phone as well. So we provide phones with the devices, making sure that there is no access to anything inappropriate. So there's only app on the phone, and that's the only phone they use during the activities. And then they get allocated to locations, and they go to those locations and record 5 different observations at each location. So they look at measurements and then they try to assess what is the reason if the readings are higher, and just establish what they could do to make the exposure to air pollution better, how they can minimize the exposure and make the air better for everyone in the area. So that is obviously, in a nice weather, is really great experiment to do. On the picture on the left, you can see that was a completely different day. That was in March last year, so quite rainy. We do get quite a lot of rain in the UK, but as long as it's not pouring down, we still carry on with activities. You just need to wrap up and wear gloves for writing. Another activity that we do with our students is aiming at indoor air quality. As we know, we spend nearly 90% of our time indoors, and children are always quite surprised that it's so much, but as they spend most of the day at school, for starters. So in those activities, we explore cooking, we look at cleaning products, discuss other sources of pollution. So those activities are included in the Key Stage 3 activities, but here on this picture, this was actually younger children, they Key Stage 2, year 5, so they around 9, 10, came to university, one of our laboratories, and we ran quite a few different activities with them. So the example here on the right, it was smog in a jar. So we create a bit of smog trapped in a jar, and then we get the students to measure and just actually physically see that those particle matters are coming out from smoke. And I think they were all quite surprised seeing how high those levels. Obviously, here they're measuring just above the smoke, but sometimes we are exposed to smoke directly. So this pollution will go straight into our lungs if it was in real life. So children really love those activities. We got to fry some sausages. They explored VOCs as well. They sprayed some air freshener under the box, and then put the indoor air quality monitor in there, and we're watching how the readings were changing. And this is again something simple that we possibly do every day, using air fresheners, and we don't even think how this can affect our health. So that was also quite interesting experiment with our students. And the most popular activity that we undertake are school assemblies. So this would include all the students from the school, as young as 4, 5, all the way to age of 11. So the primary schools are the most our customers for this type of activity, and we can have up to 400 students at the time. There are hundreds of questions. They are very excited to hear about air quality and air pollution, and they are very interested. And following this activity, they get to take a worksheet with them home. So again, we hope that this conversation doesn't end at school, and they take the activity with them home, and there are some questions they need to answer at home, and we ask them to obviously involve the family and the parents, just trying to raise awareness and involve more people. Okay, so let's see what we found in Reading last few years. So as I said, this is a second year, so we're monitoring air quality very closely with our students, and this is an example of air pollution that is very characteristic for UK in around October, November, when we have bonfire night and Diwali. And this graph shows how particulate matter goes up during those events. So students are really fascinated looking how something that we create, we choose to do fireworks, we choose to do fires, and how we actually make air quality worse for ourselves just by using those simple things, which we don't usually think about. So again, we were looking at air quality closely, and we actually recorded a spike of air pollution following fires in Portugal. And this is a great opportunity to expand on the conversation with students and talk about climate change and how events that may happen in different country quite far away from us may actually affect air quality in different countries. So we looked at outdoor and indoor air quality, and we could see how the weather was washing the pollution down. Again, lots of rain. And just talking through those graphs with children, just taking them through those stages, they love it. They're really engaging. They're interested, asking lots of questions. So having those low-cost sensors and having those graphs and data for them to look at is really helpful with education. And the most recent one, again, this was just last year and recorded by one of our schools. So they were using indoor air quality monitors, which was continuously on, and they managed to capture spike of indoor air pollution during, again, Halloween, bonfire night, and Diwali, when we have lots of fireworks, lots of fires, celebrating, and in the same time creating air pollution. Another type of engagement we ran with our schools was a poster competition. So we asked key stage 2 children, which is again around 7 to 10 age, to express what they think of air quality, how we can prevent it. And we can see here on this poster, this was the poster that was a winning one. And you can see cars, fires, fireworks, uh, ovens, cooking, factories, cigarettes, aeroplanes, everything identified correctly as the sources of pollution. And this student is asking us to stop, to help our world. So the children can see that. The children are asking for cleaner air pollution, cleaner air, and stop the air pollution. You can see the air pollution is crossed, and stop air pollution to make the world a better place. I think this is the message we can all get quite attached to. We're all trying to make our air a little bit cleaner. So we do a lot of work with students and primary, secondary school children, but also we make sure that our adults are also aware of what's going on and what they can do to improve our air quality. So we engaged with over 2,000 parents outside school gates. We made this booklet especially for this project, which gives a lot of information on sources of air pollution and ways to minimize the exposure and minimize the air pollution. And we do ask parents how they can change their behaviors. And they do understand that they need to drive less, they need to leave the cars at home or park further away from schools. They need to start walking more and cycling, not make as many campfires or barbecues. They do want to meet and have conversation about this, which is really encouraging, and use better fuel and quit smoking, which was also really interesting to hear. But the question is, they know they need doing this, but are they actually doing this? So this is the part of the project where we are just trying to assess how we impacted our communities in Reading and how much they can improve their behaviors to make our air better. I had this next, but we will go to this after if I can skip. Okay, so we play the videos after because I was not able to get the sound working. So Ahim's going to play that for us after I finish. So I just wanted to go with you through what's next for Reading. So we are really lucky that Reading Council is doing so much to improve air quality. And the project is just one part of what they're doing. So we have 6 school streets. For those that are not familiar, school street is when the part of the road is shut for the time of drop-off and pick-off of the children. So the road is, as you can see on this picture, free. Again, in the rain, free for families to walk and feel safe from the cars and also from air pollution. So we have school streets already in Reading, which are covering 10 schools, which is really great. Reading Council has expanded the smoke control order to the whole of town. So now we have smoke control order everywhere in Reading. So obviously if people are only allowed to use approved wood, which is ready to burn, or approved appliances. So if someone is not doing this, they may be issued a ticket by Reading Council and asked to stop those, to use those fires or wood burners. And we, as I said, running this project till the end of the school year, which is going to be summer this year. But we are looking at ways of to continue the project, maybe expanding further to different councils. So we are exploring the fundings and collaboration opportunities and hopefully carry on these educational sessions past the time of this particular project. So hopefully this will not just end with this project. So this is all the slides. I just wanted to ask Ahim now to play the video. So if you have any questions, I think we're gonna do questions at the end anyway, but my email address is on the screen and I'm sure we can share it later as well after the session if anyone wants to get more materials.
Yeah, great.
That's
Marta,
it.
if you stop the share and then
Mhm.
I share, let me see. Hopefully we can share sound. Oops. Oh, it's me too. Can you see the video? Okay.
Hi, I'm David. I'm 11 and go to school in Reading. I've been exploring air quality recently, and I want to share what I've discovered with you. Before we start, let's all take a deep breath. Did you know that on average, we breathe about 25,000 breaths a day? We're surrounded every day by things that can pollute the air. Things like vehicles and smoke from buildings and other things like burning the wrong type of wood.
If we burn the wrong types of solid fuels in our homes, it can be harmful to health. That's why the whole of Reading has been designated a smoke control area, and we encourage everyone to adhere to the rules and burn better when we heat our hose.
All of these things produce little particles, but did you know?
When we breathe in, small particles called particulate matter enter our bodies. These particles are so small, more than 20 times smaller than a human hair, that if we breathe in too much over a long period, it can make us ill.
Luckily, there are lots of people working hard to make our air quality better. And there's stuff we can do too, like walking, cycling if you can, sharing car journeys with friends, burning less wood or coal, and opening windows to let in fresh air.
Whether indoors or outdoors, sometimes you can't always improve the air quality around you. So the easiest thing to do is move away from the source of air pollution. Remember, Improve or move. That's the best way.
Join me in becoming an air quality explorer and get involved by visiting the CALM website.
Okay, great. I think everybody could hear that, right?
If you're a business owner, then animated explainer videos are the best way to capture attention.
Okay, let's stop
Yes,
this.
that worked really well. Thank you.
Right. Now we could go into the Q&A session for any of you. If you have any questions, feel free to just type in at the chat, or if you feel like you want to talk directly to Marta, you can have your mic turned on. Okay, we have a first question from Atanasia. A very nice project. Have you invited also health experts to the workshops in order to discuss the impact of long-term exposure to pollution versus occasional during cultural events like Diwali?
Yes, so we will be obviously submitting a report at the end of the project, and the main aim of the project is not actually collecting the data. So the data is shared with us by the schools, and we do help the schools to explore the data and change their behaviors to make their quality better. But we don't actually collect the data and work with the data. We look at the specific events when it happens, but we mainly look at education to this project. So there has been a lot of other projects that they specifically look at the data, and this has definitely been shared with our government that we need to do something about obviously the air pollution across the year as well as during the events. But this is not something that we going to have as an outcome of this project, because this was mainly the education.
Okay, thank you, Martha. Next question is from Gonzalo. Usually it's difficult to maintain children's attention in scientific themes. Any recommendations for AQ sessions in primary schools?
Yes, so I highly recommend to explore our website. We have published just the basic presentation that we use for school, so it's really engaging. Mainly, it's not very long, so we don't do more than 20-25 minutes. And it's very engaging. We use loss consensus. The sensors are there within the class, and as the class comes into the room, you can see how the CO2s are raising. They all get really excited when the colors change. So obviously having those colors on the monitors are really helpful as well. And we ask lots of questions. It's quite open conversation. The children can always ask us as well. I think it's quite engaging and they like it, what we do. So yeah, I would recommend to just explore what we uploaded on the website, because this is obviously for everyone to use.
Okay, to the next question from Mark. Thanks for the presentation. Do the high classroom CO2 levels have observable effects?
So this actually happened when we were in the class. This specific graph, when we were in the class doing the presentation, and we tried to open windows and make it go down a little bit quicker than it did. I would not say that I could see any effect on the children. They were all quite engaging and very lively. So maybe because we're still early in the day, maybe if it carried on through the day, would have affected people more. But I didn't see it when we were there.
Okay, next question from Timea. Great work with educating the kids. I'm curious, do we have any schools that have planned to have long-term infrastructure installed in every classroom, other than at least some, to help teachers to keep air quality high on a daily basis? Was this idea explored to make managing air part of every day at schools, also during class, not just in breaks?
So we, as part of the project, we provide the monitors, and they are for schools to keep. Obviously, I don't know if there is anything wider planned that schools could have monitors in the class. There are other projects that are obviously providing such monitors as well. But as I said, we are working within our council at the moment. So we provide information and give the support to the schools to make sure they monitor the air quality, not just in the breaks, but all the way out throughout the day.
Okay, thank you, Marta. I'm also seeing some of the comments that some of our audience share about the air quality, the poor air quality they experience here in the comment sections. And while waiting for another questions, I think I personally have a question, Martha. I really like the idea where you divide the workshops not only indoor and then outdoor. I think personally, I kind of want to know how does the children's react from the workshops, and how do they find these differences, this indoor pollutions and outdoor pollutions? I do believe that it's not perhaps an easy topics for them, but so far with the experience and then the impact that I felt educational they already gained. So far, how do you see the success of putting this education to the children? Because I don't think in every school they have this informations at their education system.
Yeah, so I don't think they have this information at all schools. So hopefully, by doing such project, we can somehow have impact on obviously our government and hopefully include this further. So air quality is not in our curriculum. So we try to use this. Obviously, we use maths, we use physics, we use lots of different mapping. This parts of different part of curriculum, but so air quality, you could say it is part of different curriculums, but air quality itself is not there. Children are really surprised how outdoor air quality can affect indoor air quality, and most of them were not aware how simple activities like cleaning or cooking can impact the indoor air quality so much. So I think just a simple experiment, simple education makes big difference. And even if they don't share this information with the parents, and it hopefully will improve their own lives, if not now, hopefully later.
That's really amazing. Thank you, Martha. Perhaps anyone else wanted to ask some questions or share their experience. If, maybe some of you have experienced, have done the same thing and then wanted to share and discuss with Martha, or any questions.
Johanna, I see also some in the chat still. Well, maybe I can read one to
Okay.
take a little bit. From Roger, we all know where pollution is coming from, and we also know it's a long road to improve air quality versus our way of life. Measuring is easy. That is our core business. But are there measures that are taken to tackle indoor pollutions, since we are 90% of the day indoors? Yeah, I think it's exactly this thing, like going from data to action, I think. Yeah, maybe you can share a little bit on that, Marta.
Yes, so definitely having the tools to measure quality, it really helps obviously change the behaviors. So if you don't know you have a bad air quality, how are you going to do anything? So definitely helps the teachers to run the class, and when they see it goes up, they do say they try to manage the class and open the windows, and in the long run that makes a difference.
Yeah, there's actually another really interesting question that I also experience sometimes from Tom. Fixing indoor air quality in schools can be expensive. Did you face resistance from schools for your program because of this?
Yes, so the indoor air quality monitors obviously are easy because you just plug them in. So the outdoors we had some difficulties. So we opted out for supplying battery packs. So the schools are charging battery packs and leaving. So only few schools managed to install the outdoor air quality monitors. So unfortunately, not all the schools have outdoors. but definitely all of them are happy to use the indoors, and even the indoors having that installed makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think Tom was probably pointing towards this thing that we experience sometimes at AirGradient, where we also monitor a lot of schools, that sometimes you detect really bad air quality in a school indoors, no? And then because you make the data, available or accessible, or you measure it, then the school actually needs to fix it. And sometimes, for example, they don't have the budget, or sometimes it's expensive to install a new air quality system,
Yes.
application system. So was that ever a topic in your project?
So the data belongs to schools, so we don't do anything. We don't put any pressure on the schools. So if they want to share the data, I don't think the indoor air quality data is shared with anyone apart from us. I know the outdoors monitors, some of them are on the map, so that's obviously accessible. But we don't put any pressure on the school what to do with this data, because as you said, that can be followed up with costs that they may not be able to afford. But I think just having this class management and understanding that there is an issue and trying to do something about this, it's massive step forward.
Thank you, Martha. We have lots of questions by now. Okay, let me went through the chat. I hope I'm not skipping anyone. Question from Timea. How do you mitigate differing results from sensor? We just got an atom tube and it's a lot more lenient on the measurement of PM 2.5 versus my sensor that is the same as in the AirGradient kit. I know the point is education here, but having accurate sensors and retaining them, I see this being a challenge. Wondering if you have tips for this. Maybe Marta and also Ahim can have a say on this.
Yeah, so if I can go fast, obviously, as pointed out, we use those sensors for education, and we do not really attempt to plot the data. Again, the data belongs to schools, so they share the data with us. We only use this to give them advice. We don't use the data to do anything else with it without the school's permission. So even if obviously the children using the sensors, you add on additional error to it. So as long as that gives them understanding of air quality, air pollution, and helps them to breathe cleaner air in the future, that's the aim of the project. Don't know if Ahim wants to add on anything on this.
No, I think I agree, Marta.
Okay.
And yeah, Johan, go ahead.
Okay, next questions from Aurora. How does the use of the Atmo tube complement the air monitors? Educating myself about air quality after the Eaton fires.
Great. So we use Atmo tubes for the mainly for the outdoor activities. So we prepare the maps and the worksheets for the students. They go specific locations, take 5 measurements, and then they go different location. Then we go back in a class. We calculate the mean values for the recordings, and we compare for different locations. Then look at potential sources and discuss with children what it all means. So that's how we use the Atmo tubes. We also give options to families if they want to borrow an Atmo tube. They can have this and use it between home and school to explore the air quality on the way to school, and then they can obviously take different route and see if it makes a difference in the exposure of the day. So that's the way we use the Atmo tube, and it's been really fantastic in what we wanted to achieve and great in educating.
Okay, moving on to next question. So Roger did pose a question. So no, capturing the VOC particles, gases, only windows. I think I just want to make this clear. Is it refers to the workshops related maybe we can move forward with the next questions first. Let me check.
Maybe
You
I
can
can jump in there. I think maybe the question is about, did you also look into VOCs, Marta, or only CO2 and PM?
So we look at VOCs as well. And again, children are surprised that simple things that they use every day make such a big impact on air quality. So I think building this understanding in our children, it's really important. And again, the locust sensors are doing a great job supporting that education.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you, Martha and Ahim. Next question is from Athanasia again. Do you combine satellite data to confirm or detect sources of pollution? Have you encountered peaks that could not be attributed to or correlated with any source?
So we don't, as I said, we don't concentrate on the actual data for this project. It's mainly for the education. So we don't combine any other. We do. I personally look at the data in Reading collected by other monitoring stations, but we don't necessarily look at the other external data. And we do have odd peaks at different locations, and the teacher would email us and say, oh, what could that be? Or we spot something in the data and ask what was happening at school. And usually we do find that they had extra play or wet play, or there was extra activities happening, so the CO2 spiked really high, or there was a Christmas dinner and all the children were in the room, more children in the same time. So usually we do identify the reason for those spikes, but it's really good that the teacher keep an eye on the data as well and are interested in finding out how to prevent it.
Thank you, Martha. Next questions. We have two questions actually from Sarah. First, how do you measure impact or outcomes? How do you measure impact or outcomes of the project? And then next, does your project discuss air purifier as a method of mitigating indoor air pollution?
Okay, so I'll just do the second one first because that one is easier. So we will be looking at obviously giving recommendations and ways to minimize the air pollution in schools. But that this is beyond the project, looking at the air purifiers and maybe outside the budget for the schools to have such things installed. And measuring impact is really hard part in any situation. So we run with those workshops, we run questionnaires with children, looking at the impact of the workshop on the education. And we had hundreds and hundreds responses collected from parents at school gates, just looking at the behavioral change and how they think they could potentially change their behaviors, and looking if the project somehow impacted the way they are traveling to school or how they are behaving in every day. But measuring impact is one of the hardest part in any project, I think. But we think got quite a lot of good data, so hopefully we can measure that.
Great to know. Okay, maybe last question for this session, Martha, from Victor. Hi, Martha. Great presentation. May I ask which routine or exercise gets the best engagement from the students or participants? Thank you.
Oh, this is a really interesting question. I really can't say because they all different. So I think the one I most enjoyed, but I've been working in the labs for over 20 years, so I really love the laboratory experiments. But I think the assemblies are really impactful in one way, because usually it's the first time the children get exposed to this subject, so they really enjoy this, listening about this. But then when we do the workshops with the older children, again, they just so fascinated about actually being able to hold the device and being able to see the measurements live. I think they all very engaging, and I would recommend them all.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. I do really see interesting questions coming and discussions initiated on the chat box, but looking to the time now, our time is almost up. But maybe Marta, before we officially close this, can you give us a closing statement?
The closing statement. So the aim of this project is to educate, and as much as I feel we may not be as successful educating adults as we are now, hopefully with educating children, we can get our clean our air and get cleaner breaths for the future generations.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Marta, for your great and insightful presentation. I think all of us here is totally inspired with the presentation. Thank you so much, everyone, for actually joining this forum with us. On behalf of the entire AirGradient team, we're very thankful for Marta and each of you that have already joined. And if you want to have the recording, you will get it on our websites in our forum page by next week, Monday. So thank you so much, guys, and see you next time.